So we can go ahead and start. Thank you, friends, for coming. Today we're going to talk about three important things: how to live long, how to live physically healthy, and how to live mentally healthy or mentally happy. Uh, it's just simple housekeeping. Obviously, when I give any lecture, I'm not replacing your primary care physician. So if you have any symptoms, make sure you see your primary care physician. I don't have any conflict of interest. I'm not talking about anything which I'm selling here. And then obviously I'm not making any money here. Uh, Big thank you to Jayshree, my wife, all the mentors where I've learned from, and also most importantly, the people and the patients who have taught me most. Uh, who am I? Been board certified in cardiology for the last 25 years, got recertified a few years ago. We do it every 10 years. I also got board certified into lifestyle medicine 2 years ago, and that was a big eye-opener. We'll talk about that. I've been doing a cardiology practice for now 25 years. My philosophy was always into prevention, but I did prevention in a more traditional physician way by lowering their cholesterol by giving them medicine, controlling their blood pressure by giving them medicine. So more traditional, more allopathic way. But I realized that probably is just a band-aid on the main disease. I wasn't curing them. I was just temporizing their disease and their symptoms. And that has changed over the last 2 years. I've been a lifelong vegetarian, trying to be a vegan now. I have my own personal health journey we'll talk about at the end. And I just started this page, Healthy Living with Aajay Shah LLC, which pretty much posts every day 2-3 times, and taken up a big mission to educate and make everybody healthy. I'm also trying to be a life coach because I realized that health only comes if you are a complete person. Health is not separate from you as an individual. So let's talk about living long. And let's see where we are right now. Average longevity in the US, male is about 78 years old, female is 80 years. Highest longevity in the world actually is in a small country, Monaco, which is 89.4, almost 10 years more than us. Second highest is in Japan.
Light off.
Yeah, light up, yeah. Let's put, yeah, thank you. Yeah, both, yeah. That's perfect. That's a lot better, yeah.
You can close the door.
Yeah, we can close the door. Thank you. So in US, Hawaii has the highest longevity, and the lowest is in Mississippi, the stroke belt states. United States actually is ranked 43rd in the world in terms of longevity. We'll talk about that also. So let's talk about physical health. Heart disease is still number one killer in our country. Cancer is number two. 12% of Americans have diabetes, and that number is growing actually exponentially because of obesity. 50% of Americans have high blood pressure, very high prevalence. 38% of Americans are obese, and if you take the definition of obesity by BMI of 25, that's 38%. But ideal BMI, in my opinion, is 23. BMI is a body mass index. So if you take 23 BMI, actually almost 85% of Americans are overweight or obese. And the projections are by 2030, 50% of Americans will be obese, 50%. And my guess, my prediction is that will be actually 2027, not 2030. So we'll be obese very rapidly. And most chronic disease happen because of the results of our lifestyle. And let's talk about now the mental health or the happiness. US ranks third in terms of mental health disorder. 46% of us are at risk of developing one mental disorder in our life. That's a pretty high percent. West Virginia has the highest percentage of mental illness. 5.3% of US males suffer from depression, and 8.7% of female suffer from depression. Anxiety is very high. 18.1% have one anxiety attack in a week, which is pretty high. 0.4% has a psychosis, which itself is a very high prevalence. Suicide rate is 13 out of 100,000. As a matter of fact, last 2 years in America, longevity has gone down by about 2 or 3 months. And major reason for that is young age suicides and opioid crisis. So we are not necessarily dying younger now because of heart disease and cancer. We are dying partly because of mental disorder. Healthcare economics. In US, we have a fee for service. So when I see a patient, if patient is having any symptom or any disease, and if I take care of it, I get paid. If I keep a patient healthy, I don't get paid anything, which is a wrong model, because in my opinion, we should get paid for keeping people healthy, not taking care of the disease. Most developed countries, including UK, Canada, has a nationalized healthcare, which in my opinion possibly is a better model because physicians get paid regardless of how many medications they prescribe or how many procedures they do. Their salary typically is fixed. I think which has its own plus and minus, but I think that gives physician incentive to spend more time with patients and make them and keep them healthy. US is number one in terms of healthcare spending. We spend about $4,500 per year for each individual. Most procedures and medications in US cost at least 10 times more. There's some merit to it, but mostly it's just too expensive. So US has the highest healthcare spending in the world, but we are ranked 43rd in terms of longevity. So that's just not the right thing. We need to work on it. So what can we do as a nation, as an individual? I think obviously I always feel like if I take care of one patient, eventually whole world will be fine. My job is to take care of the patient who is in front of me. Every time I see the patient, that's how I think that this is the most important person in my life when I'm in that patient's room. If we all think like that, I think our world will be fine, our nation will be fine. So what is the solution? Solution, in my opinion, is very simple, very cost effective, and readily available for thousands of years. We don't need a new breakthrough technology or breakthrough pill to take care of what's going wrong with our country and our world. And that's a simple, healthy lifestyle. So what is lifestyle change or lifestyle modification? These are the 6 pillars of healthy lifestyle, and these 6 pillars came out right off our American College of Lifestyle Medicine. And the most important pillar is the nutrition, what we eat. That's the most important pillar. We'll talk at length about that pillar in the next few slides. Exercise is the next important pillar. Sleep is as important as exercise and eating. Stress management, substance abuse, including alcohol, relationship, and our social skills. All these pillars not only are interrelated, but they actually multiply exponentially when you do it in concert. So when you do it together, they help each other, and they may actually make you even more healthier. So we have to do all of them. You cannot say that I eat healthy, so I don't have to exercise. You have to do everything together, particularly if you want to live long and healthy. If you want to live 100, you have to do all 6. So let's talk about first most important pillar, and that's what we eat, the nutrition. Standard American diet define SAD, S-A-D. Truly it's a sad diet because we eat about 65% processed food, 25% animal products, and 10% plant-based food, just 10%. And out of 10% food, the 2 commonest plant-based food is French fries and ketchup. So in terms of green vegetables and in terms of fruits, it's typically less than 1%. I see many patients, to be frank with you, who did not have fruit for many times days and days, who did not have green vegetable for days and days. Not every day, days and days. 60% of children and 50% of adults drink some kind of sugary drink, including soda, diet soda, and juice. Juice are not also good. In the past, we used to think juice are healthy, and I remember growing up as a kid, and even our own kids, giving them a glass of orange juice in the morning was a routine. That's been proven now that that's a bad thing to do, as bad as a soda or diet soda. We consume a lot of salt, and that's the reason high blood pressure has become 50% in Americans. And 30% of Americans have at least one alcoholic drink per day. And we'll talk about that in the next few slides. So most chronic disease actually happen because of what we eat and what we drink. So what is the solution? Nutrition, like I said, is the most important pillar. The easiest way to start on nutrition is applying whole food plant-based diet, where I call it 10% animal products and 90% plant-based food. Our daily meal should include adequate calories to maintain the BMI of 18.5 to 25. Over the last 30-40 years, Americans are eating about 300 to 500 calories per day more than we used to eat. And that's the reason obesity has gone on a rampage. And partly it's because of a lot of marketing, a lot of emotional eating, and a lot of junk food eating. Our BMI, if your BMI is about 25, you should eat 500 calories less per day than your daily expenditure to bring your weight down to BMI of 25 or below. And we'll talk about that. And water should be the beverage of choice, not milk, not anything else. Matter of fact, Canadian food plate now has replaced milk in their food plate, water as the beverage of choice. In America, it's still milk, but I think ideally it should be just water. So what is a whole food plant-based diet? It should include vegetables every day, preferably about a pound of raw food and pound of cooked food, cooked vegetables. Cruciferous vegetables are very important. Allium family is very important, which are onions and garlics. Beans and lentils should be every day. Actually, matter of fact, we will talk about blue zone people who live long and healthy. They always have a beans or lentil every day in their meal. Fruit should be at least 4 servings per day. Like I said, many people, many Americans have not eaten fruits for days sometimes. Seeds are very important to provide you omega-3. Flax seeds are good. Chia seeds are probably better. You should have 1 ounce of nuts every day, preferably walnuts. And definitely processed food should be zero. No, definitely not more than 5%. So what are the benefits of whole food plant-based diet? The most important ingredient you get from whole food plant-based diet is the fiber. Animal products have zero fiber. Steak, chicken, fish, milk, zero fiber. Literally zero fiber. Many times Americans were asked that how much fiber is in the steak. They think there's a lot of fiber in the steak. Steak has a zero fiber, which proves that the marketing on the meat side has just really brainwashed Americans. So what are the benefits of fiber? Fiber has a significant role in satiety. When you eat fiber-based food, you feel full quickly and you eat less calories. It prevents diabetes, it prevents constipation, it prevents diverticulosis, it prevents colon cancer, it lowers your cholesterol, and it lowers your estrogen. Matter of fact, there's some new data now. The people who eat plant-based diet and has a fiber in their diet, it breaks the we call enterohepatic circulation of estrogen, because we always excrete estrogen, male and female both, female more so obviously, in our gut from the liver. And this fiber binds that estrogen, and people who eat high fiber diet, women who eat high fiber diet, has a less chance of developing breast cancer. Recent information was very important. As a matter of fact, fiber now is proven also. The people who eat fiber-based, plant-based diet also live long. A plant-based diet obviously has a lot of phytochemicals, which animal products have no phytochemicals. It provides antioxidants. Plant-based diet typically is very low in saturated fat. We'll talk about different types of fat, but saturated fat has been proven for heart disease, strokes, Alzheimer's disease. So plant-based diet has a low saturated fat. Plant-based diet typically has a high water content. Water obviously carries 0 calorie and it makes you full, so automatically you eat less calorie. Most animal products have very low content of water, and it has a low caloric density. For example, a pound of broccoli is only 100 calories. A pound of nuts is almost 2,000 calories. So what are the types of nutrients? There are macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients are carbohydrate, protein, and fat. Lately, everybody's talking about that my macro ratio is this. That's what they are talking about. Like how much carbohydrate you eat, how much protein you eat, how much fat you eat. And right now we have this fat diet going on with keto, where people are eating extremely low carb diet. In my opinion, that's wrong. We'll talk about it, and that should be stopped. So ideal macro ratio, where it's been proven on epidemiologic data from blue zones, is 70% carb, all complex carb, whole food plant-based diet, 20% fat, and 10% protein. Micronutrients are also very important. They are phytochemicals and antioxidants. Vitamins are also provided by the plant-based diet, particularly vitamin Bs. Minerals are important, as well as the water. So what are the types of carbohydrates? Simple carbohydrates, which typically raises your sugar very quickly and spikes the insulin. Simple carbohydrates include sugar, white bread, and white rice. Complex carbohydrates are the one we all should be eating. That includes typically brown rice, whole wheat bread, quinoa, oatmeal, and carbohydrate from vegetables. Each food has a glycemic index. We'll talk about it. Typically, we should be eating 6 servings of carbohydrate every day. 1 serving is 1 cup. So what is glycemic index? Glycemic index, something which is not important to know and remember, but something to know, a concept that every carbohydrate will spike your insulin. And insulin being a fat promoting hormone, insulin being a cancer promoting hormone, we should prevent spikes as much as possible. So if you know that which food will spike your insulin, then you will eat less of that food. High glycemic food typically are white bread, simple sugar, baked potatoes, watermelon, other things. Low glycemic food typically are the more complex carb food. Glycemic load is actually more important than glycemic index, because even if you have a high glycemic index, if you eat less of it, your glycemic load will be less. For example, watermelon has a very high glycemic index, but typically has a very low glycemic load, because watermelon mostly is water. So I think you should know glycemic load, not just the glycemic index. Let's talk about fat. three types of fat: saturated fat, poly, and monosaturated fat. Saturated fat definitely is detrimental to health. Like I said, heart disease, strokes, Alzheimer's disease. Poly and mono are typically beneficial to health. The thing which many of us forget, that omega-6 and omega-3 are the important thing to know. They both are essential fatty acids, and we need both of them in our diet, but at the same time, the ratio is very important. When you have high levels of omega-6 compared to omega-3, it promotes inflammation and causes many other disease from chronic inflammation. So the ratio is very important. Americans have average omega-6 to omega-3 ratio of 15 to 1, sometimes even 25 to 1. That ratio used to be 8 to 10 to 1 just 50 years ago. But because of processed food, because of a lot of vegetable oil, the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio has significantly gone up. You can check your omega-3 ratio by ordering a blood. Somewhat expensive test. It's not necessary to do it, but if you really want to be scientific about it, you can check the omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. The third important macronutrient is a protein. Protein, by definition, means the most important macronutrient. But in my opinion, that's protein. I've never macronutrient. If you eat enough plant-based food, you will get enough protein. So protein requirement is 56 grams for male, 46 grams for average female. And I'm talking about in America. So average weight person needs only that much protein. Most Americans get twice, some Americans get 3 to 4 times protein than truly recommended. When I have a personal trainer, first thing they say, did you have enough protein today? That's what they ask me. Protein is like such a brainwashed macronutrient for all Americans. We don't need that much protein. Right now there's a fad of taking high branched-chain amino acids in a protein powder form. Branched-chain amino acids actually are very detrimental to your health. Many of them are sulfur containing. They promote cancer, and they also promote osteoporosis. So protein can be animal-based or plant-based. Let's talk about what are the benefits of being a plant-based protein. So side effects of animal-based protein, animal-based products. Animal protein raises your IGF-1 level, insulin-like growth factor 1 level, which promotes cancer. Eggs also been found to cause the diabetes. Processed meat like bacon, salami, hot dogs, and hams are also class 1 carcinogen. They're as bad as smoking. And a lot of people have bacon every morning in their breakfast. Red meats are also class 2 carcinogen and definitely can cause colon cancer. Most animal products actually carry with it saturated fat, which obviously causes heart disease and other chronic diseases. So animal products carry many other co-actors beside being a carcinogenic, beside the protein. Animal-based products also contain choline, which actually eventually leads to TMAO production, which can cause the heart disease. Animal-based products typically have heme iron, which can also cause the heart disease. Dairy, recently article came out just a few weeks ago that women who drink glass of milk have almost 20% higher chance of developing breast cancer. So dairy is definitely no-no. Cheese is also a very favorite food. People say that I'm addicted to cheese as much as addicted to any other food. Partly the cheese has, and all milk-based products has we call casomorphin, which essentially is a type of naturally made or animal-made, cow-made morphine type product which makes you addicted. So people say that they're addicted to cheese. Truly there is an addictive substance in it. Cheese has a salt, obviously very high in salt, has a lot of saturated fat, it's very caloric dense, it has estrogen and has no fiber. So cheese should be also avoided as much as possible. Animal-based products also promote advanced N-glycation products, and these advanced N-glycation products are nothing but a combination or association of amino acid and a sugar. And those AEG products are formed in the body, and you can also get them from the diet. And those products actually now been claimed that they can cause a lot of chronic disease, including heart disease, Alzheimer's disease, cataract, even skin wrinkling. Animal-based products are also very detrimental into people who have kidney disease. Animal-based products also have high levels of fibroblast growth factor, which can also lead to heart disease. So what is this new thing, intermittent fasting, which we can talk about it quickly. So intermittent fasting is the one where you create a window of eating within 8 hours. Ideally, 16 hours if you can do it, but minimum 12 hours to get the benefits of intermittent fasting. In America, the typical window when people don't eat is almost 7 to 8 hours, no more than that. Most people have some kind of a snack at 10 or 11 o'clock at night, including cookies and ice cream, and they have breakfast again at 6:30 or 7 in the morning. So most Americans are never into this intermittent fasting. If you really want to do intermittent fasting, have your dinner at 7 p.m. and not eat until 7 a.m. So 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. If you can do it, 16 hours is the ideal window. Ideal meal should be heavy breakfast, heavy lunch, and very light dinner or no dinner. In America, it's exactly opposite. Most people skip breakfast, and a lot of people have very late heavy dinners. 24-hour fasting is also claimed. We've been doing it for thousands of years religiously, and I think if you can do once a month, 4 times a year, 1 to 2 day water only fasting, there are a lot of benefits in terms of cancer prevention and many other things. So what are the supplements I recommend? I only recommend 3 supplements. Vitamin B12 for all vegetarian and vegan. I take it myself. Even people who eat meat, they should take vitamin B12. Vitamin D, particularly if you live in Michigan type areas, and taking 1,000 units per day. Most Americans, particularly the people in the northern states, have vitamin D level 20 or below, 20 to 30 or below. We need the vitamin D level at least 50 or above. So we should take vitamin D supplement. And then a lot of patients and people, because high blood pressure is very prevalent, I ask them to eat no salt or low salt diet. And only way we get iodine these days is from the iodized salt. So if you are in a very low salt or no salt diet because of high blood pressure, you should take iodine supplements. I take iodine supplements every day. And then multivitamin, which is not necessary. Nobody needs multivitamin if you eat whole food plant-based diet. But if you're not following the whole food plant-based diet, then take a multivitamin. We eat a lot of salt. Maximum 2.5 gram per day should be eaten. Zero salt is ideal. If you don't have kidney disease, you can potassium substitutes, which is very actually beneficial and friendly, and you should take potassium. If you have kidney disease, talk to your doctor. Sugar should be also minimized, and simple sugar should be avoided. I get a lot of questions about oil, particularly from Indian patients and Indian people. Zero oil is ideal. Oil is nothing but a processed food, because it processes seeds and other vegetables and other things and produce the oil. So oil is very processed. Oil carries a lot of calories. Oil has 4,000 calories per pound. So oil is very calorie dense food. And a lot of vegetable oils actually, like I said earlier, promotes omega-6, and it disturbs your omega-6, omega-3 ratio. So have a minimum oil or no oil. If you want to use any oil, use olive oil or canola oil. Otherwise, don't use any other vegetable oils. These are some general things I try to follow myself. Eat until you are about 80% full. Most Americans stuff themselves. They eat actually 125% full, not 80% full. If possible, if it's possible, particularly dinner, walk 15 minutes after your meal. That will prevent those insulin spikes, and it will also keep your calories down. Eat at a slower rate. Try to spend time, 20 minutes eating instead of just eating in 5 minutes, at a fast food and other things. And chew food longer too. Exercise can never overcome a unhealthy eating. I tell my patients that if you have 1 donut in the morning, to overcome that calories, you have to walk 2 hours. We never walk 2 hours after eating a donut. If anything, we reach out for a coffee with creamer. So people add more thing to donut instead of walking. So you can never overcome a bad eating with exercise. A lot of people say that, I'll just burn it off tonight at the gym. You can never do that. Always know how many calories you're going to be burning today, including your basal metabolic rate and also your exercise expenditure. So that way you can ration your calories. At the same time, now I tell my patients that if you eat whole food plant-based diet, you don't have to count the calories. Many times our personal trainer has said that if you want to lose weight, if you want to know how much calories you burn, track everything you eat. Some people even say weigh your food and look it up. All those things are not necessary, and to be honest with you, people do it for a week and then they stop doing it. None of that is necessary if you eat whole food plant-based diet. Always look for a healthy substitute. I think now we are based on Google and everything else. You can always look, give me healthy pasta. And for example, at our house now, we don't get a typical white pasta now. We get lentil pasta or other bean pasta. Now there are even quinoa pasta. So you should look for what a healthy substitute instead of a regular cow milk, you can get almond milk or soy milk. There's all substitute available in every food store has them. Learn to read nutrition labels because fortunately nutrition label now has a calories, saturated fat, fiber, sugar. So if you read the nutrition labels, you'll be better off. At the same time, generally they said that if a food has a nutrition label, you should put that food down because it was made in a factory. So for example, apple doesn't come with a label, good to eat. But if you eat anything else which has a label, typically you should not be eating. Develop a taste for healthy foods. I think once you eat a healthy food for 3 to 4 weeks, your taste bud will change and you will start automatically liking it. And I think I used to eat, quote unquote, a lot of French fries 5 years ago. Now I hate them. I think you just develop a new taste. If you're eating 21 meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, try to eat at least 18 meals homemade food. Once in a while going out with friends is nothing wrong with it. Once in a while eating a quick fast food meal is fine, but at least 18 out of 21 should be homemade. Resist the temptation of fast food restaurants. If you are crossing Jolly and Okamas, just keep going and take your exit. Don't stop at McDonald's or Tim Horton or Dunkin' Donut. Eat a low calorie density food. We'll talk about that in a second. And I already talked about macro ideal ratio. Carbs should be about 70%, fat should be 20%, and protein should be 10%. And here you can realize that protein should be the lowest macro, and many diets actually have protein as the highest macro. Some diets have fat as the highest ratio instead of carbohydrate. Carbohydrate is the most important macro in our diet, and we'll talk about that. So when I tell patients that I want you to lose weight, first thing they ask me that, should I eat less or should I eat less calories? And if I say yes, they're going to do it for a week, but it cannot be sustained because our hunger will take over. We love to eat. We, as an animal, as human, we love to eat. So I cannot just say eat less. So I have to come out with a better answer instead of saying eat less. And that's where this diet of abundance, I call it, has come to my mind. So I ask people to eat as much as you like, stuff yourself. Even I say 80%, with this diet, you can stuff yourself to 100%, 125%. And that food, if you eat whole food plant-based diet. Because if you eat whole food plant-based diet, it's a low calorie dense food. Like I said, 1 pound of broccoli is 100 calories, 1 pound. Most animal products, 1 pound is almost 1,500 to 2,000 calories. So if you eat 1 pound of broccoli, you feel full and you will not have that much calories. Obviously, you cannot eat broccoli all day. You have to add other grains and fruits and other things. So average calories per pound should be about 500 calories per pound. So if you eat 3 pounds a day, you will eat about 1,500 calories. So people say that I want to lose weight, I want to go on a diet. And right now there's a fad about this keto diet. Keto diet is nothing but old diet we used to call Atkins diet when I came to this country. Atkins diet was very popular. Dr. Atkins kind of designed it, thrown it. It had a very high amount of animal products, very high amount of saturated fat. Atkins diet did not survive. Matter of fact, Dr. Atkins himself did not survive. He died very young of heart disease. He himself died of heart disease. So his diet is gone. But the same diet has a new clothes now, and it's called keto diet. When I ask most of my patients, what are you doing to lose weight? What are you doing to stay healthy? They say, oh, I'm on a keto diet. There's so many YouTube videos on keto diet, how to start keto, how to maintain keto, what food you should buy at the grocery store for the keto. Keto is nothing but a fad. It's going to go away in 5 to 10 years. And before it goes away, it will kill many Americans. So what is keto? Keto is nothing but high amount of animal products, a lot of saturated fat. It's going to cause a lot of heart disease, a lot of heart attack. It will raise your LDL or bad cholesterol. I don't recommend it. So you can lose weight by a variety of things. You can smoke and lose weight, but that's not a healthy thing to do. You can go on a chemotherapy and lose weight. You can starve yourself and lose weight. Those are not all the healthy way of losing weight. So losing weight is not the primary goal we should have. It's getting healthier. Losing weight is just one of the many things we look for when a person is healthy. There's a lot of other things we look for. So losing weight is not the main goal. Main goal is to get healthier and happier and live long. So these are the quick steps. Eat whole food, plant-based diet. Exercise 1 hour daily. The recommendation, exercise or physical activity. Exercise is, in my opinion, is kind of a wrong term, because people who do housework, people who do gardening, people who do snow removal, snow shoveling, people who do lawn mowing, those are all physical activity. So do some kind of physical activity. Doesn't have to be going to gym 1 hour. But if you are busy all day, at least start exercising 1 hour in the evening at a gym or at home. Minimum dairy and animal products, 90% of our calories should come from plant-based diet. No oil, salt, and sugar, you don't need that. They're not essential, just avoid it or minimize it. Because a lot of the eating we do is a lot of emotional eating. If you take care of stress in your life, you will automatically eat healthier and eat less. So meditate 20 minutes. Sleep 7 to 8 hours. People who sleep less than 5 hours typically eat 250 more calories next day. So I have my own personal experience. Whenever I'm on call, and if I had a poor night on call, I eat more next day. Everybody has gone through that. Eat 1 pound of raw and cooked vegetables, because it carries a lot of fibers, carries a lot of volume, so you will eat less of the unhealthy food. Track your daily weight. People say, oh, I weigh myself only once a week, once a month. If you track yourself weight every day, you'll be better organized. Eat within 8 hour of window, so do the intermittent fasting. Drink lots of water, because water, even though it's a macronutrient, has 0 calories. It will keep you full. A lot of people, when they are thirsty, actually, they eat because they think they are hungry. So if you are hungry, first drink water. If your hunger goes away, you are thirsty, not hungry. Preload meal. This preload concept is very important. People who eat salads, or even people who eat apple before the main dish, they will eat less of the unhealthy main dish. So for example, if you eat 75 calorie apple before your main meal, 75 calorie will make you eat actually 150 calorie less in your main meal. So apple actually is a negative calorie food. So always preload either with a fruit or with a vegetable or a salad, or just water. Drinking a glass of water before you start eating your main meal will make you eat less. Just make a habit of drinking a glass of water before you have your meal. And eat at home, like I said. 18 out of 21 meals should be eat homemade food. So this was the most important pillar, the nutrition. If you want to start doing anything from today, get focused on what you eat. This is a book. If you want to buy one book to eat healthy and be healthy, this is the book I highly recommend. I've sold this book to my patients probably at least 500 times. I've read it 20, 30 times. Every time I read, I learn something. Only $10 on Amazon. This is what book to get for every American. So second pillar. The second important pillar is exercise or physical activity, like I said. So exercise is 150 minutes per week, but I recommend 1 hour a day. 150 minutes is the minimum we should do, but 1 hour a day is probably ideal. Exercise definitely has shown to make you live long, prevent diabetes, prevent heart disease, prevent cancer, prevent dementia, Alzheimer, and many other chronic disease. So exercise is very important. Physical activity is very important. So what are the types of exercise? Cardio is the most common, most simple exercise, and cardio can be as simple as walking. People who can jog or run, but cardio should be done every day. Cardio exercise raises your heart rate, it trains your heart. If you want to really be scientific and if you want to get the maximum out of your cardio exercise, try to raise your heart rate above 85%. And you know how to calculate your target heart rate is by 220 minus age. 220 minus age. So 220 minus age times 85%, 0.85, that will give you the maximum rate you should get up to. And if you do that 12 minutes a day, it can actually give you post-exercise burn effect. You will keep burning the calories for next 24 to 48 hours. Not many people can do that because that involves a lot of physical heavy exertion, but if you can do it, that's an ideal way to do it. So these are my steps. In 2018, I have walked 23,000 steps. 2019, I learned that those many steps are not necessary. That you should get up every hour, stretch, walk, do something for 5 to 10 minutes. You can always invest into a standing desk, and that also is better than sitting. This was my physical activity. Like I said, I used to exercise 2-3 hours a day. Now it has gone down to about 2 hours a day, but I still religiously exercise. These are average. This is not something like I did it for a week or a month. This is a year average. Every year I did it for the last 2 years, and I still do it. The second important exercise is the weight training. As we get older, our muscle mass starts to go down, body fat starts to go up. So maintenance of muscle mass is very important. So you can do weight training by 3 ways. You can do machine-based weight training, which are very safe as we get older. Every health club has it, or you can even buy a machine. But typically, health club is the best way to do it. Second is free weights, which a lot of young people like because it has a higher chance of developing muscle mass. And the third one is just a body weight training, calisthenics. So if you cannot do any free weights or machines, you can easily do body weight training at your home, in your own living room or your basement. Weight training prevents osteoporosis. Weight training increases muscle mass, so you burn calories 24/7. So weight training is very important. The other type of exercise which is very important as we get older is flexibility and yoga. I think most Americans are not doing flexibility training and yoga, which is very important because it improves your balance, it prevents many injuries. Other consideration, move every hour. Like I said, sitting is new smoking. Own a device, either an Apple Watch or a Fitbit, so you can track how you're doing every day. I think to me, data is always king. More you know what you're not doing, you start to follow it. Consider joining a gym. If you go to Planet Fitness in Okemos, it's only $10 a month. Everybody can afford it, and they have great equipments. If you cannot work out on the weekdays because you're a parent or you work long hours, work out on the weekend. Working out on the weekend, 150 minutes, so 75 minutes Saturday, 75 minutes Sunday, also has shown significant benefit. It's almost 80% as good as exercising every day. So you cannot have excuse that I'm busy Monday to Friday. Work out on the weekends. Consider buying a standing desk. Have a partner or a buddy. I think if you do alone, any activity in life, you cannot do too long or too quick. Just have a buddy. And hire a trainer. I think if you hire a trainer at a health club, it may be very expensive. But if you hire a college student who has an interest into exercise physiology, you can get it for between $15 and $25 an hour. And you can do 1 to 2 hours a week, learn everything from him or her, and do it yourself. Number 3 pillar, as important as exercise, is sleep. 30% of Americans don't get 7 hours of sleep. Matter of fact, over the last 100 years, sleep has gone down almost by 40 minutes for every American. Many Americans sleep less than 5 hours. And as a society, particularly Americans, Japanese, we take sleep as something of a waste of life. You know, most people think you should be sleeping less to go ahead in the life. That's exactly opposite. If you sleep adequately, not too much, not too little, if you sleep adequately, you actually become more successful. 4% of Americans are on sleep medications, and sleep medication has shown to cause higher mortality. And you cannot overcome sleep by working more on the weekend. You have to sleep consistently every day. So what are the side effects of inadequate sleep? Poor learning. As a student, you have to have enough sleep. Poor attention, more accidents, diabetes, prediabetes, higher death rate, Alzheimer's disease, heart attack, high blood pressure, and many. Sleep is a really important pillar. So what are things we can do to improve the sleep? This video, when I posted on our Facebook page, was very popular. Almost 1,000 people watched it because I realized all of us have sleeping problems. So maintain fixed sleep hours. If you go to sleep at 10 o'clock at night and wake up at 6 in the morning, try to do it every day. Even on the weekends, try to do that. Once in a while, it's okay to go out and party, but not every Friday, Saturday. 30 minutes of sunlight, preferably in the morning. If you don't have enough sun out, consider buying a 10,000 lux light, which almost provides you enough of a light. Exercise 30 minutes every day, and that will improve your sleep. No caffeine after 2 p.m. If you're really sensitive to caffeine, no caffeine after the morning coffee. No heavy meal after 7 p.m. No alcohol after 7 p.m. Alcohol can put you to sleep, but the quality of sleep after heavy alcohol is very poor, very less deep sleep. So don't use alcohol as a sleeping aid. Take a hot shower before sleep because hot shower lowers your core body temperature and that induces sleep and makes you maintain the sleep. Minimum clothing at night for the same reason, to have a lower core body temperature. No blue light after 6 p.m. All computers, iPhones and other phones, all gadgets, TV, emit blue light. So either avoid them after 7 or 8 p.m. or if you cannot avoid them, consider buying orange glasses, $10-15 on Amazon, and wear those orange glasses while you use those devices. Dim lights in the house after 7 p.m. 1,000 years ago, people went to sleep when the sun went down. There was nothing there for them to do. They just went to sleep. Now we stay up until midnight because light is so inexpensive and so much easily available. If you cannot sleep after half an hour, get up and read or meditate. Just don't stay in bed. No TV in the bedroom. Like 20 years, 30 years ago, whenever I met any parents, they were so proud to say, all our kids' room have a TV. Obviously, that was the wrong thing to do. We don't do it anymore. But now they have iPads and iPhones. Keep bedroom dark and noise-free. Meditate 15 to 30 minutes before sleep. Definitely, having a sex. Comfortable mattress and pillow. Decrease water before sleep because if you wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom, it's going to disturb your sleep. And track your sleep because, like I said, data is king. If you don't know how you're doing, you will never act on it to make it better. Sleep, in my opinion, requires planning. Sleep doesn't happen automatically. You have to plan your sleep. Just like the way you plan your meals and plan your exercise, you have to plan your sleep. And we went through how you can plan your sleep. This was my sleep. In 2018, I was sleeping 6 hours, 40 minutes. Recommendation is between 7 hours and 8 hours. I realized that 6 hours 40 is good, but is not ideal. Next year, I did everything in my power, planned everything. I slept 7 hours and 2 minutes. And this is not 1 week. This is not 1 month. This is tracking over the whole year. So I think if you track, you know what you're doing and how you can improve it. Tracking is very important. The next pillar is the stress management. Chronic stress increase your mortality, heart disease, obesity, Alzheimer's disease, depression, anxiety, lots of different things. So chronic stress is not, just like chronic inflammation is not good, chronic stress is also not good. Chronic stress increases cortisol and norepinephrine level. Both hormones are very detrimental. So how to combat stress? Meditate 20 minutes. Be a stoic person. Learn to balance your emotions every day. Things happen, things go up and down. Try to be as balanced, as equanimity as you can. Learn to observe your breath in your free moments. I learned this thing from a friend just a few years ago. Whenever I have free moments at work, now I just sit and observe the breath going through my nose just slowly. And to be honest with you, even though initially it sounds very trivial, but that has made major difference in how I feel stress in between the patients. Definitely exercise and yoga will help to relieve the stress. Have a good sleep. Have a purpose in life. I think when you wake up in the morning, you should know why you're waking up today or this week or this month. You should know your purpose in life. The purpose can be, having a better relationship with your spouse, taking care of kids, taking care of parents, advancing in your career, getting a new degree, whatever. But have a purpose in life. Love your work. I think a lot of stress happens at work. So love your work. And if you don't love your work, do something to get a new job where you will love your work. Take care of your finances. Financial stress in America is a major stress. I see so many of my co-workers and employees, they live paycheck to paycheck and they're always stressed out about their finances. Maintain important relationship. Relationship is actually give and take. As much you give, that much you will receive. So you cannot expect that people will be always nice and kind with you if you're not like that to them also. So maintain your important relationship, plan for it. Daily habit of negative and positive visualization. This is something I recently learned. Negative visualization is very important. Negative visualization is a simple technique and it's been recommended in the Stoic philosophy to do it every day. As much as maintaining a gratitude journal, negative visualization is very important. How you do it? Negative visualization where you sit down, either close your eyes or keep your eyes open. Think about a situation or a scenario which can go wrong in your life and see how you will tackle it, how you will plan to overcome it. For example, for me, the scenario could be if my hospital job fires me. And I think about it at least once or twice a week. And I've planned out if that happens, how would I survive as a physician, as a father, as a husband, as a son, how will I manage my finances, whether I will need to move or not, how will I maintain my house. So I create that scenario as if it already has happened and I tackle with it. Sometimes I even take a note. So if that day comes ever in my life, I'm 100% prepared. So negative visualization is very important. Daily journaling, people who journal every day, they are more successful and they actually have a better health and better longevity. And definitely maintaining a gratitude journal. What things went well in your life right now? What things went well today? You should either at least notice it by sitting and remembering, or ideally you should be writing it down. People who maintain journal every day and a gratitude journal definitely have a lot more success. Limit your TV time. TV is nothing but mostly negative news, no more than half an hour a day. Get your news from a CNN app. Monitor your negative self-talk. Many of us have habit of putting ourselves down. I think we are many times our own worst enemy. Try to monitor that and lower it. Avoid substance abuse, alcohol. Sometimes alcohol is a numbing medicine. Many of us reach out for it when we get stressed out, but actually it's just the wrong thing to do. Own a pet. People who have pet live longer and are healthier. Limit your social media. Social media should be our slave. I think I use Facebook as my slave instead of I go on every second on a Facebook. So use all social media to your advantage. Learn to forgive. Forgiveness is very important. Bad things happen. People are bad to you. But if you forgive them, it's only good for you. There's this concept which I've been reading more of a more fadi, which is a Stoic concept, where essentially no matter what happens in life, you just have an attitude that I just love it. Because once you create that attitude, the same event will be less affecting your mind. For example, if you're stuck in a traffic, just say, I love it. Because the reason you're stuck in the traffic, because there was an accident just a mile away, you could be that person in the accident. Instead of that, you're sitting in the traffic. So just say, I just love it. Whatever happens, happens for good. All religion, all cultures have way of saying that. Like in our culture, say, Bhagwan ne je gamyu saru. Same way saying, I just love it. Either you can say on God, or you can say, I just love it. And then memento mori. Memento mori is another concept, which essentially means we are all mortal. One day we're all going to die. So why to worry today? Everybody's going to go to death, no matter rich, poor, white, black, everybody's going to die. Same way, if you create a concept that today is my last day, you probably will do the best in your life to live the best life. Increase your omega-3. Omega-3 has shown to lower the stress. Increase your vitamin D. Vitamin D also has shown to lower the stress, chronic stress. Manage gap between stimulus and response. I think many of us are very quick reactive. When somebody says something to us, something happens, we quickly react to it. But if you manage the gap between the stimulus and action, you'll be better off. Live in the moment. Do not sweat small stuff. Things happen. Many times you have to make almost like a habit that this thing happened. Is it going to matter in 10 years, 20 years down the road? If it's not going to matter, might as well not worry about it today. Enjoy experiences, not possessions. I think we have realized, and youngsters are more realizing, that owning an expensive car versus taking a vacation has more value than owning an expensive car. So enjoy the experiences, not the possession. Be proactive. I think proactive is very important. When you plan your health, your finances, everything in life, you'll be always better off. Get outside, spend time in the nature. Read motivational books. I mean, obviously, any reading is fine, but read at least periodically motivational books. Have a high AQ, the adversity quotient. They said that if you fall 7 times, as long as you get up 8 times, you'll be fine. So always get up no matter how low you fall. Go through struggles. Actually, struggles and obstacles are growth. If you take struggles and obstacles as the challenge and as something of a growing thing, I think you'll be better off. The next pillar is important pillar also, substance abuse. The most common substance in America abuse besides the smoking is the alcohol. 70% of Americans had at least one drink last month. 6.6% Americans have more than 5 drinks per day in last month. So a lot of alcoholics. A lot of teenagers drink also. And 10% of zero alcohol is the ideal amount. We know now that even we used to think that having 1 to 2 drinks a day is health thing, but actually it's proven now. Zero alcohol is the best recommendation. So negative effects of alcohol, tons of negative effects. It increases your appetite. Most of us have gone through it. Whenever we have a scotch or a beer, we typically eat more within the next hour. And we don't eat healthy food with alcohol. We typically reach out for very unhealthy, very processed food, chips and pretzels and nachos and other things. We make poor food choices. It disturbs our sleep. It causes more accidents. It lowers our productivity. It can cause fatty liver and cirrhosis. I've seen many patients with the cirrhosis, and it's very miserable way to live once you develop cirrhosis. High blood pressure is a very hidden cause of having high blood pressure. People who drink regularly can have a high blood pressure just from alcohol. Alcohol definitely can cause atrial fibrillation, which is an irregular heartbeat from the upper part of the heart. And I see a lot of patients in my office with atrial fibrillation, and they drink on a regular basis. It can cause stomach bleeding. We don't see that many cases of stomach bleeding now because of varices, but alcohol definitely can cause the stomach bleeding. Alcohol can lead to death if you drink too much. Alcohol is shown to cause cancer also. Women who drink one glass of wine every day, they have almost 24% higher chance of breast cancer. So women and alcohol definitely is no. It can cause tremors. It can homicide. It can lower sexual inhibition. It can cause inflammation of pancreas. It can also cause infertility, diarrhea, hallucinations. It can cause osteoporosis. Tons of side effects of alcohol. Zero is ideal. If you want to have Friday, Saturday, glass of wine, glass of scotch, one or two beers, I understand that. I do it too. But every day, 4 or 5 drinks is just not good. So other substance abuse, prescription drug abuse is also a major problem. A lot of patients I see, there are multiple pain medications. That should be avoided as much as possible. A lot of street drugs, including heroin, marijuana, cocaine, and other hallucinogens. Smoking is also another problem. When I came to Michigan, 25% of people in Michigan smoke. That number has gone down to 17%. Obviously, it should be zero because smoking is nothing but inviting trouble. Still, it's 17%. Next pillar, which is equally important, like I said earlier, all pillars are important. When you do them together, they actually multiply the value of each other. People with strong relationships live longer and healthier. It increases your happiness, a feeling of belonging. Examples of relationships obviously include your spouse, your parents, your children, your friends, at work, at church, anywhere, wherever you go, try to build a relation. And relationship is actually, like I said earlier, give and take. What you put in is what you're going to receive. Other simple strategies, there's some data that if you take infrared sauna, it provides a good health. Steam sauna, cold bath, hot tub, having a massage once a week, not watching that much news, having a hobby, interest in music. Oral care is very important too. We have realized now that people who have poor gums have higher chances of heart disease and Alzheimer's disease. So seeing your dentist regularly, flossing, brushing, alcohol-free mouthwash is very important. Maintaining financial stability, saving at least 10% of your income. Have a measurable goal. I think, like for example, if you want to say that I want to run a 5K in 3 months, have that register for it. Start walking, start jogging, start running, but have a measurable goal so you know that you are going towards that goal. Have a strong support from family and friends. Live in present. Enjoy experiences, not possessions. Use sunscreen daily. Sunscreen is very important to prevent the cancer and also obviously prevent the wrinkles. Even if the sun is not out, apply sunscreen every morning. And if you're going out in the afternoon or evening, apply sunscreen again. Be a minimalist. We already talked about it. Always act and think young. There was a study done called counterclock study where they took 70 to 80-year-old people, put them in a house where everything was retrofitted. They had old pictures hanging, old TV, old couch, old carpet, everything. And in 1 month, all the health parameters of those people, even the magazines were from 50s and 60s. All those people, the health parameters changed because they were in a quote-unquote young environment. You can create that environment in your hair just by thinking young. Just think young. That I'm a young person. Why would you think that I'm an old person? Environment versus be optimist. Get on the scale every day. We talked about it. Environment versus willpower. I think many times people say that, I don't have a willpower to do this thing. And willpower, I think, has been oversold. Create an environment. For example, at our house, all the exercise equipments and gym used to be in basement. And I never went to the basement. Basement has no windows, nobody's around. I never went there. We put our gym into our family room now, which as soon as I enter the house, I can see my wife. I can see all exercise equipments. I have a higher chance of doing exercise if I create an environment. So I don't have to rely on my willpower. I just see it, I just come it and do it. And I have a big windows, wife is sitting there, so I feel like I'm part of the action instead of going in the basement alone and exercising. So create an environment. Time rationing is very important. We all get 24 hours in a day, whether it's black, white, poor, rich, everybody. So you know where you're putting your time. Time never comes back. I can buy a new house, I can buy a new car, but I can never bring the time back. So ration your time. Set some non-negotiable habits, like you can say, I'm going to sleep 7 hours every night, and track it. And do it every night. Some of those things are very non-negotiable. For example, if you once in a while cheat on food or alcohol, I can understand. But there are certain non-negotiable which you have to do it every day. We're going to switch gears here. So what else you can do, essentially, beside you yourself doing the process? Importance of primary care physician. You should see your primary care physician minimum once a year, possibly twice a year. A lot of patients I see, they take pride in saying, oh, I haven't seen the doctors for 5 years or 10 years. That's not a sign of good health. In my opinion, that's a sign of stupidity. Many of them actually have good insurance. Many of them very well educated. They just don't see the doctor. They change their oil in the car every 3 to 6 months, but they don't see doctors for years. That's not the right thing to do. When you go to see a primary care physician, be prepared. Take notes when you go there. Write down your questions before you go there. Ask for vaccines, ask for all screening and prevention techniques, and ask more questions. Because if you could just go and sit in the room, your primary care is going to spend probably 5 minutes, 10 minutes with you, not discuss anything with you, and before you know, you are out of the room. Plan your primary care visit and take notes, like I said. And if your primary care says come back in 3 months, go back, because there was a reason for them, to bring you back. It's not because they want to make money. It's because there was something urgent which he wanted to discuss with you. So what are the leading cause of disease, death in the U.S.? Leading cause of death, because if we know what we're going to die from, maybe possibly we'll work towards preventing those diseases. Heart disease is still number 1. Cancer is number 2. Stroke is number 3. Lung disease, accidents, Alzheimer's disease, diabetes, influenza, kidney disease, and suicide. Suicide has becoming young age. Suicide is becoming very common. There was a recent data published in Ohio between age 10 and 16. Suicide is number 1 killer. Suicide is number 1 killer between age 10 and 16. Number 1 killer. So suicide is also rising too. Heart disease, number 1 killer. So we should all know about it. A lot of Americans have heart disease. Once a heart disease happens, it's hard to reverse it, to prevent as much as you can. If you know the symptoms of heart disease, for example, if you start having chest pain on exertion, make sure you see your primary care physician. If you're having chest pain and if you are an age group, start having sweating, start having shortness of breath, fatigue, and if you are at rest, particularly after doing an exertion, if you start at home in the evening or early morning, call 911. That could be a heart attack. So don't be a fool. Always know symptoms of heart disease and prevent it. Cancer is another thing. Obviously, there are thousands of types of different cancers. Common prevention would be not smoking. Preventing obesity. Obesity is one of the biggest reasons for people getting cancer. Obese women get more breast cancer than a lean woman. Use sunscreen. Our processed meat, breastfeed will prevent the breast cancer. Eat plant-based food and no alcohol, which we talked about it. Follow all the screening guidelines. Like for example, colonoscopy after age 50 is recommended. Everybody should have it done. If you are African American, have a colonoscopy after age 45. Stroke, the 3 types of strokes: embolic stroke, ischemic stroke, and hemorrhagic stroke. The most common are the thrombotic stroke, where a small clot forms in a small blood vessel in the brain and hampers the blood flow, and that leads to stroke. Stroke is an emergency because now we have newer therapies available. If you get to the emergency room within 6 to 8 hours, you can get a newer kind of treatment for stroke. So if you start having any weakness on the body, slurred speech, blindness in one eye, call 911. Get to the emergency room right away. COPD is the lung disease. It typically happens from smoking. If you smoke, you're going to get COPD one day, besides the lung cancer. So don't smoke. Alzheimer's disease is on the rise. 5% of Americans will eventually develop Alzheimer's disease. 6 million Americans already have Alzheimer's disease. And Alzheimer's disease, we used to think, is a disease of aging. That's not true. A lot of people in the world live up to 90, 100, and they don't develop Alzheimer's disease. Obesity is one of the biggest reasons for Alzheimer's disease. Diabetes is the cause of Alzheimer's disease. High blood pressure is the cause of Alzheimer's disease. So try to do proactive thing to prevent the Alzheimer's disease. Diabetes is, like I said, on the rise. 13% of Americans have diabetes. It's projection that eventually 20 to 25% will be diabetic. And that can be, diabetes is nothing, type 2 diabetes is nothing but a totally preventable disease. And we all should try our best to prevent the type 2 diabetes. Influenza and pneumonia, just to one point here, that take your influenza shot vaccine every year. Take a pneumonia vaccine every 5 years after age 50. Suicide, like I said, is on the rise. Prevent everything you can. If you know someone is going through a rough time, reach out, see a psychologist, see a psychiatrist, get on the right medication. Obesity is on the rise. Like I said, if you take obesity, BMI of 25 or above, 38% are already obese. It'll be 50% by 2030. So obesity is on the rise. High blood pressure, 50% of Americans have high blood pressure. High blood pressure is also a preventable disease. It's a reversible disease. If you lose weight, if you exercise, if you don't drink alcohol, if you sleep well, high blood pressure can be reversed. I've seen many of my patients on 3 medications before they came to see me. By lifestyle change, from 3 medications, gradually they've gone to 2, 1, and eventually they've been off medication. So people say that once you're on blood pressure medicine, lifelong you're on it. That's not true. Actually, you can go off blood pressure medicine. Cholesterol is important too. Everybody should know the cholesterol numbers. You should know your total cholesterol. You should know your LDL, the bad cholesterol, HDL, the good cholesterol, and the triglycerides. And try to keep LDL below 100, HDL above 50. So, even though we spend a lot of money, we are not the good example of health. But there are many good examples of health, and those are called blue zones. Blue zones term was defined by Dan Buettner from National Geographic. He found these pockets of areas in the world where people live very long, 90, 100, 105, and they live very healthy. So not only they had a lifespan, but they also had a health span. And those are the called blue zones. There are 5 areas which are defined: Loma Linda in California, Icaria, Greece, Nicoya Peninsula in Costa Rica, Sardinia, Italy, and Okinawa, Japan. This blue zone have a very specific way of living, and we can mimic them, we can emulate them. What they do, they typically eat whole food, plant-based diet. They have minimal processed food and animal products. They have daily beans and lentils, like I said, and we can emulate, because see, there will be never a trial done on healthy eating, because there is no money to make. Drug companies are not going to do a trial on broccoli because there's no money to make in broccoli. So now we have to rely on the data, which are epidemiologic data, where we actually mimic people who live long. And these are the people we should be mimicking. They have frequent physical activity. They don't go to gym every night. They move every hour. They just move. They do housework. They do gardening. They do other things every hour. They have very strong support from family and friends. They have a purpose-driven life, and they are mindful. So these are essentially the 6 pillars we discuss. And we have a living examples of people doing the 6 pillars naturally. They do it as like nothing to it. They just do it so automatically, as if it's the second nature to them. And we can be like them too. Why do I say we can be like them? People say that, well, America is too stressful, we have fast-paced life, and we run all day, all night. No, that's not true. In America, we have a blue zone. So we have blue zone right in our backyard. So these are the 7-day Adventist people in America. The most common one is the Loma Linda. And these people have a predominantly vegan. They exercise and they move every hour. They have very healthy BMI. They don't drink alcohol. They don't smoke. They don't even take caffeine. They have no other substance abuse. They're very religious, very strong family and friends network. Matter of fact, they live 7-day Adventist men and women live 10 years more than average US male and female. 10 years. And those 10 years are not in nursing home. Those 10 years are healthy and very productive 10 years. And we can do that. So how can we do that? Whenever I talk to people, first thing, anybody I talk, people say that health is important. How is it going to be valuable to my pocket? So let's talk about that. If a person needs bypass surgery, it's a $60,000 expense. $60,000. People can lose house on that. $60,000. Stents $15,000, knees $20,000. Back surgery, very expensive to take care of your back. Dialysis $50,000 per year. Insulin $1,000 a month, very expensive. MRIs $1,200. Just one simple MRI is $1,200. Somebody is paying for it. And eventually, to be honest with you, people think that, oh, my insurance is paying for it. No, your insurance got the money from you. It didn't come from anywhere else. They didn't print their own money. It came from you. So you are actually the one who's a bigger loser. So what things can you do which are almost non-expensive or zero expense? Spending $10 to $30 on gym membership, owning a Fitbit type device, keeping your bedroom temperature of 66, just learning how it improves, zero cost. Sleeping 7 hours, zero cost. Moving every hour, zero cost. Treadmill, have a treadmill at home if you cannot go to the gym, if you're too busy. $300. Meditation, $0. Flossing, $5 a month. Flu vaccine, $15 a year. So these are very low cost items which can improve your health exponentially. So what are the health insurance we get? After age 65, Medicare, everybody gets Medicare. So sign up for it. And typically, I always recommend my patients to have a supplement to Medicare because Medicare is not adequate. You can have employer-based health insurance also. And that insurance, the way I get it for myself and I advise it is that buy the one with the highest deductible, put money into health savings account, and then be healthy as much as you can. So you actually will end up saving a lot of money. Vaccines are very important. Make sure you get all the recommended vaccines every year and whatever the other recommendations are. Not only for you, but for your kids too. So let's talk that is it doable? As a cardiologist, just 3-4 years ago, I wasn't very healthy. I was working long hours, not eating healthy, not exercising, not sleeping well. My weight was extremely high, 187 pounds. Now I run about 140. BMI was high, body fat was high, waist was high, blood pressure was very high on medications, resting heart rate was high, cholesterol was high, bad cholesterol was high. So not a good example of health. My A1C, the measure of diabetes, was also getting up. My family had a very strong history of diabetes, and I was really scared of becoming diabetic. My inflammation was there, my chronic inflammation was high, vitamin D level was low. Sleep was very fragmented because of obesity and because of overweight. I was snoring and I probably had a sleep apnea. I wasn't eating healthy food, a lot of processed food, a lot of protein shakes, a lot of dairy products. Stress was very high. Now my stress is close to be zero, to be frank with you. My last soft drink, my soda, was 3 years ago. I haven't had any soda for the last 3 years. I did not exercise, now I exercise regularly. So it's doable. I think if I can change, anybody can change. So let's see pictures, I think to me, showing this picture speaks the whole story that you can do it, you can do it. And this was a picture when our son got married last year. The picture on the left was just 4 years ago. The picture on the right was a year and a half ago. You can just see the difference that I look fresh, I look happy, I feel like a new person. So in conclusion, health lifestyle within reach of everyone. Anybody can do it. Poor people can do it, rich people can do it, smart, dumb, tall, short, black, white. Anybody can do healthy lifestyle. Anybody. And it can start today. Physical and mental health, once you get into habit of doing this thing, you will feel so good. You will only want more of it. When you take a pill to lower your cholesterol, it lowers your cholesterol but doesn't make you feel good. So eventually you say, why do I even need it? It doesn't make me feel good. But on the other hand, if you exercise, it makes you feel so good, you want to do more of it. Once you get the ball rolling, you'll just keep going. You will actually not only do it for yourself, you will tell everybody that do it. You become like a coach yourself. And I think, to be honest with you, over the last 2 years, I am sincerely believing that we can change. I don't think it's a hopeless thing. I think I have a strong hope that if we educate enough people, particularly with the social media and giving more seminars and more lectures, we all can change. If I can change, I think all of us can change. These are some of the other resources. There's this thing which we can do today or you can do yourself. There's a thing called Share Care where actually you can calculate your physiologic age and your chronologic age. And it's very important to go to. So if you are 50 years old, and if you take this calculator, it will tell you 50 years is your chronological age, but your physiologic physiologic age is 35, or it could be 65. So you know whether you're older than your true age or you're younger than your true age. It's a good way to know it because that way, at least you can have some numbers. You can do that once a year. You can even do your telomere length, which is an expensive test, and that also tells you your physiologic age. And there's a thing called 4-Lip survey. It essentially tells you how healthy you are eating. Just simple 7 or 8 questions, and it gives you a score whether you are eating healthy or not. So these 2 things, I want all of you to do it today or this weekend. So I'm going to create some more seminars. So let's work together along with your family, friends, community, and healthcare provider to live long, happy, and healthy. And that's all today. Any questions? Yeah.
How many steps do you have to do a day for a healthy heart?
I think 10,000 steps is general number, but 6,000 steps is minimum. And that's about an hour of walking. And if you are awake, let's see, 16 hours a day, that's only about 400 steps per hour. And each minute gives you about 100 steps. Each minute gives you 100 steps. So you have to walk only 4 minutes every hour. 4 minutes out of hour. Everybody, even people who say I'm stuck at a computer at work, 4 minutes every hour is not hard. So minimum 6,000 steps, 10,000 ideal, but more you do, better for you. But at the same time, after about 18, 20,000 steps, there are no further benefits. So if you're walking 4 hours, walk 2.5 hours and save an hour and a half and put that time into meditation or more sleep, like what I learned from myself. Walking alone is just not is right. You have to do other things too. Yeah.
You mentioned milk alternatives, but I've actually read that there's a thickening agent that they put into the milk alternatives, which is very unhealthy. Do you know anything about
Thickening
that?
agent in the
Let's say almond milk or
I've not heard about that. I think all the data I've seen, most of the time soy milk, almond milk are pretty healthy. I've not seen any thickening agent as an unhealthy thing.
I have a question.
Yeah,
About the sunscreen you mentioned.
yeah,
I had read that some of the benzene-based sunscreens cause neurotoxin.
yes.
Cause problems. So, and I don't do sunscreen at all, and I don't put any on the kids either because I feel like most people have lived for so long and they never have reason to. This is just pharmaceutical industry trying to make money, like you said, brainwashing.
Yeah, I think I think I agree with you. Sunscreen probably is overutilized, but at the same time, if you are exposed to sun, sunscreen is recommended. Yeah, by Dermatology Society, sunscreen is recommended. Yeah.
Yeah. The other question I had was about, is it like preload with water? So from Ayurveda, the stuff they deal with medicine science, I've read that if you drink water before food, it dilutes the stomach acid. So if you eat food after that, your food doesn't get digested properly. So
Yeah, we used to think like that, but there was a study done where people were given water before their lunch, and people were given no water before lunch, and people who drank regular water before lunch, putting a glass of water, over 6 weeks to 8 weeks, they ate less and they were actually able to lose weight. So I think water in general in the studies have not shown to make any poor digestion or other unhealthy thing.
absorption of nutrients is what I think.
Huh? What is?
Absorption of nutrients.
No, not necessary.
According to Ayurveda, I read somewhere, when you take lunch or dinner, then don't drink water for dinner. It's after the meal. Yeah, before the
Before
meal
is
is
okay.
fine, but after the meal, 40 minutes, because that time the digestion and everything is
You
going
need
on.
strong acid, you don't want to
Yeah,
dilute it.
yeah.
Got it.
So,
Got it.
after meal,
After.
40 minutes, 40 minutes. And generally, I want to drink water after meals.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Another thing, you could make almond milk at home. You can make almond milk at home. Just soak the almonds. I think the water is not mixed there.
Yeah, it has something.
Yeah, there's a.
See, to me, I think if you really think they have to.
I've actually read about it, and that's
Yeah.
why I was using milk alternatives, but then I switched back to milk, just reading about it and
No, I think best thing would be to make your own alternative
Right.
milk. Yeah,
you never really know what it is.
yeah,
You are right.
yeah.
Like you're saying, it's processed food. It's got
Pro-
nutrition
yeah,
values.
yeah, it's processed food. Yeah. I think if you make your own, it's not processed. Yeah.
It's so easy to make, It's easy.
Yeah.
Soya milk I buy. This is really, I don't know.
This macronutrient there, 70, 20, 10. It's interesting because I always thought that maybe you need to load up with protein, more protein. But the 70, 20, 10 is pretty interesting because
Yes.
Yeah.
because-
Actually, protein, when you eat more, you die early.
Mhm.
Most people think that I'm not getting enough protein. Actually, when you load with protein in a consistent daily basis, you die early. Like in blue zones people, like some of the blue zone, like Okinawa blue zone, their protein actually is 6%. 10% even maybe is like upper limit. Definitely not about 10. But if you do 6, you'll be fine too. But definitely not more than 10%. Yeah. Like keto diet has almost 50% fat. 50% fat and 25, 30. Keto diet has like 15% carb.
Mhm.
It's
This
just exactly opposite. Yeah.
How about gluten? We heard about gluten.
See, gluten sensitivity in general is very rare. Less than 1% of people have it. But I'm talking true sensitivity. But some people are sensitive in terms of certain disease. So if you feel like that, avoid gluten as much as possible. But to be honest with you, gluten is so much into all plant-based food and grains that avoiding gluten is just not necessary unless you're a true allergy to it. Yeah.
There's no allergies.
No, less than 1%. 99% people don't have gluten. A lot of people say I'm gluten sensitive. They truly are not.
No.
Regarding sugar, or like sugar substrate like stevia or honey or jaggery, good foods to just sugar.
Like for example, if you take jaggery or honey, that has a sugar also. But if you take stevia, which you cannot digest and metabolize in your body, so be it through a 0 calorie or Splenda or other things, they all have shown to actually cause diabetes. So sugar substitutes are also not that healthy. Yeah, avoid it as much as you can. But if Splenda also. Yeah.
And stevia, you would put the same.
Yeah, stevia is in the same category. Ideally, stevia probably is the least. Splenda probably is the next one. But jaggery and honey has a simple sugar.
I've read that stevia actually regulates insulin levels.
No. Stevia also has shown to cause pre-diabetes and diabetes. People who take stevia, actually they end up eating more sugar when they are not eating stevia. Stevia doesn't spike insulin because it doesn't have any carb effect on it. But definitely it can also make you eat more sugar
It's
when
a natural product.
even though it's a natural product. Yeah.
So you can find any of the research somewhere. I'm very interested in that research also. Is it publicly available or
On stevia or on general?
anything like it's a-
Yeah. I think yeah.
Can we first heart disease?
Actually, there was a study done in '91. Then Ornish did it, where they took people put them on a plant-based diet, daily walking of 30 minutes, made them quit smoking, and had a social family relationship. And they actually did cardiac catheterization on these people, and they saw actually reversal of plaque. So you can actually reverse the heart disease with a healthy lifestyle. Not just prevent it, but actually you can reverse it. I actually have a Facebook friend. I think we posted his profile on our Facebook page, Alvarez from Florida. He was actually just 5 years ago, he was told that he should have an open heart bypass surgery. He chose not to do it. He lost about 80 pounds. Now he's running half marathon with the same blockage he has in his heart. And he has reversed his heart blockage. And he has lost, his diabetes is gone. He's not taking even any medication now. He's like a living example of reversing heart disease. Yeah. Huh?
Blood thinner.
Not even. I asked him. He says I don't even take aspirin anymore. He should be on aspirin. I said as a recommendation, he should be on aspirin. But he's just, to be honest with you, he's doing so much better with so many other things that arguing with him is almost like even I'm not doing that much thing. How can I argue with him? So, but I told him the same thing. You should be at least on baby aspirin. Nothing else but baby aspirin. But he's not even taking that, which I was surprised. Yeah.
There's a lot of talk about alkaline water, which I think I was a little of alkaline water. Is there any benefit?
There is no, most data say that it's not necessary, but obviously all whole food plant-based diet is more alkaline. So if you eat that kind of diet, you don't need alkaline water. You get enough alkaline, enough higher pH thing that you don't need to drink alkaline water. Yeah. Most plant-based food is alkaline food.
But Michigan water is fine.
Michigan, yeah. Tap water is fine.
And also, there was also turmeric is used for, I didn't see mention of anywhere, but is it?
Turmeric is definitely, in terms of chronic inflammation and inflammation, is important. I think if you take it in a natural form, that's better. Some people recommend turmeric tablets with black pepper. That's okay if you don't like the natural turmeric. The best way is just eat the turmeric itself, the root itself. Yeah,
What about the powder that you use in cooking?
that's fine too. Yeah, that's fine too.
I put in smoothies.
You do that with the
Turmeric root.
powder,
Once
the root.
in a week, I just it comes out. We use turmeric in cooking too.
Yeah,
Day to day.
yeah.
So I think we get, but you know what I do? I usually put the black pepper.
Black pepper
So
also.
whenever I use turmeric, even in smoothie, I put black pepper because the absorption is better.
Absorption meaning in the texture of the smoothie or absorption in the body?
In the bottom.
Okay.
The same thing in cooking, I put black pepper whenever I'm using turmeric. Actually, it tastes good, so different taste.
Oh, yeah, that.
I put ginger in smoothie. Ginger is really good thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And I put mint even. So it's really herbs are there.
Well, we can stop, and then I think all of you are on our Facebook page. But if not, just join and ask your friends to join. We post every day 3 to 4 times, and it's all short videos. Like recently, we are doing only 20-second videos, which are becoming very popular because nobody has time, nobody has the long attention span, and those 20-second videos are the best. I just take one topic, speak 5 to 7 sentences on that topic, and then if you want to expand on it, you can watch longer YouTube videos, you can Google it, you can read about it, but definitely get on our Facebook page. Yep, thank you guys. Yep, thank you. Yep.
Thank you.